Well, I'm back now. That was a bit of an adventure, but as you can see, I managed to rescue it. So it was, yeah, maybe just a little bit stressful doing it in front of you guys on the camera. All I had to do was open up my copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and read the big bold letters, "Don't panic." And that got me to where I needed to be. So basically, after having broken those two pieces, all I did really was just glue the two halves together, but in place where it needed to be. And so I think there's nothing really out of place now about where I am, but and I think that partly because this is kind of soft balsa, and because where I can see where this is going to go with building up the cowling on it, you know, there'll be room to fix any little gaps and things like that. I'll probably need a little bit of wood filler, but that's one of the lessons I wanted to show you anyway. So so it was, yeah, all it was a little bit fiddly and a little long-winded, carefully gluing those pieces back to place. You can see maybe on the edge there is a bit of a gap where the break is, and we'll just patch that. It'll be fine. What I will also think that I want to do, and this is what I've tried with the next piece, is to be a little bit more aggressive with trimming the slots. One thing about these slots that go over here is they're internal, like they're inside. No one's ever going to see anything. Not messing up the outside is probably more important than having the inside look pretty. So actually what I've done is I've actually trimmed out those slots fairly aggressively to make sure that I can slide that on. Let's see if that works, and whether I need to trim any further, because I don't want to take a chance of breaking another one. There's no need. That kind of forcing or pushing things over the edge. Yeah, see this particular, that slot there is not quite smooth, so I'm gonna trim that away a little bit more even than I have already, just so that I can get that next ring to slide over and basically drop on. That's all that needs to happen. If you can see, and the way how that's working now, you know, the next ring just drops on over the top of the other one, and actually that slots nicely into place there. So I think that whole idea of the bit of aggressive trimming of the slots is pretty much what we need to do here. And so then we go and we build up the next piece. That will be, so it's J, K, L, and M. This will be L, and so that's what I'm going to do here, is basically just trim away these slots, and like I say, fairly aggressively. There's no need for them to be sort of like hard tight, because, you know, I'll actually drop a little bit of glue in between each one of those before I put it back in for its permanent fix. It's going to be solid as a rock. So these slots are really almost just positional, rather than being, you know, structural in a way. And as long as everything holds together, and then we can shape that cowling from the outside to make it look nice, then I think we'll be okay, and it's not really a problem that these slots honestly end up being a little bit ugly. As I trim them out to make sure that they're going to fit and not cause a break like I had before. And so that's I guess something for you guys. I'd probably encourage you to do that with that first piece too, because it really doesn't show up anywhere. Once we've got all of these pieces in place, you're not going to see what's on the inside, and whether that, you know, see that slot is actually really quite ugly in terms of how I've cut it away, and it's not enough either. So let me just do a little bit more on that one. There go. Bring that away. Slide it over. Slide them all over. Now we've got, yeah, everything kind of pops into place. It actually sits quite smoothly there. And then there's one last one to go on the top, which is this smaller one. Now this one, on the other hand, now this is interesting. So these slots, on the other hand, these actually don't even break out to the edge. Those were actually slots. These are more like holes, where the very top pointed, basically the top step of those, I don't know, frames for the cowling, they're actually going to clip in over there. So that's a slightly different story than the slots that went that were used for the other one. But interestingly, even if I look at this now, that slot, the cutout with the laser piece, isn't actually the piece of wood is still there. So now what we should have is a click. We should basically be able to click these into place, and then that should, yeah, you can feel it. Each one of those is just sort of sliding, yeah, perfectly into each one of their relevant slots, and that's a really clean fit. So I'm actually going to pop these off one at a time now, and then glue them back, glue them into place, and so then we'll have a really nice strong structure by the time we get to the top. And it doesn't matter too much that might be a little heavy, because honestly, this how to say, the well, the nose is, you know, typically you have to weigh it down anyway. So we're in fact, there's a little bit of lead weight that we're going to have to put in somewhere here to weigh down the nose, so that we can actually get the center of gravity of the plane correct. So any weight that we put on the front is not such a bad thing. So maybe something you have to worry about on the back, but at the front, not so much. So I'm just going to pop those off. I might as well show you what I do. Hopefully I don't break anything else on the way out. I'm just going to be very, very careful though. That's actually quite a nice clean fit, which is a good story. So, but just want to be a little careful popping it off, so that I don't break another piece here, and then we can glue it. And I'm going to go back to wood glue. The CA, I mean, it's great for what it does do, but it's so unforgiving. And wood glue, I mean, it's made for gluing wood, and it's also really it's really good for sanding as well. I want to point that one out too. What we're going to do is we're going to be sanding the edge of that former there too. One of the things CA glue doesn't really do that well is sand, whereas wood glue sands beautifully. So if we have a little bit of glue on the edges, won't matter so much, because this glue is just it's sands, and that's what we need. So hopefully you noticed that I was actually keeping track of the pieces as I pop them off, to make sure that I get them back in the same order, because the order is so important because of those steps that go up the inside. If I got the wrong one on, well, I mean, it's not going to fit. This one actually fits quite nicely. A little bit of glue there, clean the glue up around the edges where a little bit of it's squeezed out. But on the other hand, making sure that I do get a nice clean join. So that's one of the reasons why I'm using glue between the slices here, and I think you should do that, because otherwise you won't end up with, you know, with the pieces actually, you know, you probably end up with a gap here and there. And again, because of how we want the look of this to end up in the end, it is actually quite important that this ends up being pretty much like a solid piece of wood. So you'll see that as we get through to the next steps. But that's quite important when you connect this together. You know, press it in, which is what I'm doing, and making sure that there's no gaps in there. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to glue all the pieces together, and then I'm going to put the peg around it, pegs on there, to hold it in place so that we get that no gaps guarantee by the time it all dries. And so that's where, you know, less important that it's absolutely perfect as we're just clicking things into place here, but it will be important that it glues, that it dries cleanly. And so the same thing here. And in this case, what I might want to do, yeah, I might not want to do, I'm just going to, you know, basically get enough glue in here to make sure that that holds on nice and tight. And now we've got to do the same nice, clean, clicked on fit that we did with this one the first time around. So you see those little tags, they just clip into place. It's really a nice clean fit, so that's good. And I'm going to get 4 little pegs and clip that into place so that they dry nice and tight, one on each side. So we can put that aside.